And now I'd like to invite our MC, Shelby Hamilton, to the stage. So Shelby works for a newspaper called Community Impact, and you all receive it, don't you? And if you don't, you need to sign up. You should be getting copies in your mailbox, but they also do a great job of delivering the news in your inbox if you sign up for their newsletter. I think that the role of local journalism is never more important as it has been in this day and time. For us to be able to make informed decisions when we're voting, when it's getting to know what's happening in our community and getting up to speed on issues, local journalism is just vital and it's crucial. And so this is my plug to say we need to be supporting our journalists who are helping us understand sometimes complex things. So we're very grateful that Community Impact is in our community, that they're reporting on what's happening at City Council and School Board and Collin College, and they're covering the business community, and they're drilling down into issues. And so Shelby does an amazing job, and we thought, who better to moderate a panel than the person who's one of the most plugged in people in the city of McKinney. So Shelby, thank you for being here today. And I will now turn it over to you, and you can call our panelists to the stage.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I'm so excited to be here today. We've got a great panel, and we're going to talk about a lot of the things that I get to write about all the time. So without further ado, let's go ahead and welcome up our panelists. First up, I'm pleased to welcome the Collin College president, Dr. Neil Matkin. Please also welcome the superintendent of McKinney ISD, Mr. Sean Pratt. Next up, we have the city manager for the city of McKinney, Mr. Paul Grimes. And last but not least, please welcome the mayor of McKinney, Mr. George Fuller. Welcome. Good.
Not one for you. No.
All righty. I'm going to start it off with the birthday boy, Mayor Fuller.
Really?
Yeah.
So wait, this is not, I thought the State of the City thing was a ruse, that this is really a party for me for my birthday.
You figured it out.
Because I am completely unprepared for State of the City. I was ready to celebrate.
No?
No? Okay.
Well, get some questions in first, then we can get to the party. Let's start with a little bit about development in the city. There's a number of notable developments across the city. Some that come to mind for me are the Sunset Amphitheater, the redevelopment of downtown, big commercial development on 380 West Grove. Tell me a little bit about what these projects are bringing to the city, both in terms of quality of life for the residents, but also an economic impact.
Sure. So Sunset Amphitheater, you saw a picture of it. Everyone see that picture? If you haven't, you got to go online and look at what they're bringing. It is a state-of-the-art amphitheater that will bring world-class talent to McKinney. Truly a cultural destination for all of North Texas and well beyond. These guys had the idea years ago to create a venue, a series of venues that were really guided from the audience's perspective. So from chilled turf to gourmet food and beverage to fire pit suites. It's going to be a world-class experience. So we're really excited about that. It brings about a $300 million annual economic impact. That's huge for our community. It supports, the tourism that it will support, restaurants, retail in our community. Is fantastic, and we're super excited about that. So if you haven't bought a suite, you should go look at their suites. We went up to a concert in Colorado Springs, and it was quite the experience. Downtown redevelopment. We're of course reimagining in a private-public partnership with M2G Ventures all the city services buildings and parking lots that we will be vacating. I think January we'll be over in the new facility on the east side of 5. And so we've been working with M2G, really coming up with a mixed-use district, if you will, within downtown that complements downtown and really expands the footprint of downtown. As we start to bring those things and those attractions that are on the square, as we start to bring those further north, just as we're doing on the east side of Highway 5 with TUPS in our city building municipal complex there, and all the redevelopment, the flour mill, everything that's happening. So I'm excited about that as it continues to expand the gem of our city. You mentioned West Grove, that's 380 and Custer. That project's been in the works for quite some time, started by the council before us and before me. It started off as a desire to have a restaurant row in McKinney. And what we are getting is another great mixed-use development with Whole Foods as an anchor, lots of restaurants, park area that the restaurants will spill over onto. So exciting there as well.
Absolutely. City Manager Grimes, on the topic of projects underway in the city staff is undertaking a number of critical infrastructure projects at any given time. Can you speak to us about what you think is the most impactful project they're working on right now and what the community should know about it?
Well, the stuff that I get excited about, nobody else gets excited about except for maybe our planning folks and a few engineers, because it's all about infrastructure. And I know that term alone doesn't get people too excited, but it's critical to what we do. If we don't have the infrastructure, we can't do all the other things. So between road infrastructure, our utility infrastructure, between water, wastewater. For example, we have a $30 million project to take our freshwater system to expand it from US 380 over at the pump station off University Avenue. So if you know Tucker Hill, just west of there, is the University Pump Station. We're going to take a 30-inch line 3 miles to the north. That's going to cost $30 million. It's not cheap to build infrastructure. It's very expensive, and folks don't think of it because it's under the ground, literally. And so it's out of sight, out of mind. But we can't do the things we do in McKinney. We can't support the growth of the community without the infrastructure. We've got another take point, we call it. It's a term of art, but it's another water tower. That's going to be our fifth point of getting water delivered from the North Texas Municipal Water District, and that's going to be in our northwest sector. That's a $50 million project. So those are expensive things to do. And they're, again, kind of like our friends from Frontier Waste. We don't want to hear about it. We hope folks don't have too much to say about it. They just want it to work. And that's underway. We've got a wastewater system that's going to be another $15 million. It's a 48-inch wastewater system. It's going to cut through Honey Creek, the future Honey Creek, again, expanding those infrastructure, the utilities, to be able to support the growth. So all that stuff has to be done, and staff has to manage that. The council provides the funding through the budget process in our capital improvement fund, and our staff, our engineering staff, and our other folks, our finance staff, have to work to issue the debt, be able to make the money available, get the contracts in place, manage the design work, and all of that. And it's a long, methodical process, but it's critical to getting the infrastructure in place.
Absolutely. Speaking on a specific infrastructure project in parks infrastructure, the Lower 5 Plaza over on State Highway 5 received some federal funding earlier this year. And then there's also some funds dedicated from the North Central Texas Council of Governments. Can you tell us a little bit about how those investments are making the Lower 5 Plaza come to fruition? Yeah,
happy to do so. And the mayor may have some things to add too, but I will tell you right now, from the get-go, Mayor Fuller has played an unbelievably integral role in us being able to secure up to $37 million in federal funds and in state funds from our council, administered through the Council of Government. It wouldn't have happened without Mayor Fuller. I'm just telling you right now, his leadership, and we give him a big hand on it. It's a generational project. It's a transformational project, and that is creating a separated grade pedestrian crossing connecting downtown McKinney, as we know downtown McKinney, to the east side of Highway 5, which is our new district by the flour mill, which we're starting to see a lot of activity, and you're going to see even more. And so the vision that the mayor and the council had is, boy, it'd be great to have pedestrian access through a park type of feature it's engaged, it's activated, and it's a great place to be. It's a placemaking, right? It's a third place, if you will, for people, or third space for our folks. But it costs money because we're going to have to do separated grade, and it takes a lot of money. It's going to take a lot of time too. So don't think it's going to be done the next year. These things, sorry, Mayor. It takes years to be able to get these in place, but it's a partnership with TxDOT, who's been very good working with us, our Regional Transportation Council folks, and again, of course, our leadership of our City Council and Mayor Fuller.
Absolutely. Mayor Fuller, did you have anything you want to add on the impact of that project?
You know, I just say that if you can imagine, and this is where the idea came from, I was just sitting, years ago thinking about as we settled on east side of Highway 5 for the municipal complex and knowing all the development that's going to take place there. The thought of, sitting at Rick's or one of the restaurants, Harvest, any restaurant over on the square, the idea of being able to take yourself, your family, and maybe walk over to a rooftop bar over at the flour mill that's being redeveloped, or Tups, without having to cross a major street, and really trying to bring these two together to be one downtown area, one historic area, one gathering space. It was really about that. We've got an incredible square with an incredible history, and we're doing some things to bring that to the north. Some things have been brought to the south, but now to bring it to the east. And as we continue to grow and this region continues to grow, having those two connected that way, and in addition to, as Paul said, it's a community space that's also being created. That's everybody. That's all of us. So very excited about it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor Fuller. I'm sure the community is excited about how that's going to reshape the east side. Excuse me while I swivel over here. Superintendent Pratt, let's start off on a similar topic about some growth in the city. The Fraser Elementary opened in Trinity Falls before the 2023 school year, and that's seen some capacity. District's got a lot of growth planned and expected as well. Tell us how the district is planning for that and what strategies are at play.
Sure. So Fraser Elementary opened up almost at capacity, not at capacity, but very close. And our demographer, I always say our demographer is kind of like the weatherman. They're never quite exactly right, and there's so many things changing every day. So they're always bringing you new information, but definitely missed a little bit on Fraser. We had more growth than expected, but it wasn't at capacity. And we moved some areas that were about to be developed or just beginning to be developed, and moved those into some other elementaries to give them relief. And we think we're good till 26, 27 before they actually reach capacity. But obviously, our northeast and northwest in McKinney ISD, the up around New Hope and even very close to Princeton, that's growing quickly. So we have a lot of growth up there, but then our neighborhoods in the south are kind of aging out. McKinney's a great place to live. Empty nesters become empty nesters, and instead of downsizing and moving out of McKinney, they stay, right? But they don't have any more students coming into the ISD, so that's a factor. And then we all know that young people right now are getting married later, and they're having less kids. So your graduating classes, and this just isn't just McKinney, this is across the nation, your graduating class that's leaving is typically, unless you're in a growth area, is much bigger than your incoming kindergarten. We're fortunate in that we're having the growth in the northeast and northwest, and our demographer predicts that over the next 10 years, we will continue to grow. Not the kind of growth we had in the 90s, in the early 2000s, but a slow, steady growth in the school district. So we started a long-range facility planning committee. There's a number of people here in the audience today that are on that committee, just taking and charging them with looking at our facilities currently, what our future needs are going to be, and then the distribution of students. I think that committee will end up, when they're done, saying we need to redistribute and push more kids to the south. It's never fun to change lines for schools, but that I would predict is coming in the future. So we're working on that. We also are looking at programs. We talk about functional capacity. If you watch board members or board meetings, you've heard people say, well, the schools are underutilized, and we use the functional capacity, because what people don't understand is, depending on the program in the school, it affects your capacity. I'll just give you the easiest example. If you have a special ed program in a school, and let's say they use 5 or 6 classrooms, and the student to teacher ratio is 1 to 2 or 3, right? So you're now utilizing a classroom that could have 22 students, and you may have 2 students, right? So we've tried to take those programs and be strategic and put them in places that have the space and get them out of the schools that are experiencing the growth.
Absolutely. Dr. Matkin, on a similar topic, Collin College has seen some growth over the years. It's expanded to 10 campuses and facilities in addition to the online campus. Can you tell us what it looks like for Collin College in terms of both enrollment and facility growth in the next few years?
Oh, I'm happy to. The first thing I want to mention is that the Collin Higher Education Center is next to this new amphitheater the Brain Trust has created. And so if you can't afford a suite, we're going to have rooftop. We see some big money opportunities here. So I want to say thank you to you guys for that. We've been very, very fortunate, and despite our best efforts to stop people from moving to Collin County, they keep coming. And many of them bring children with them, and those that don't get here and figure out that it's more expensive to live here than they thought, so they want to get more education. And we've been so blessed to be able to accommodate and put touch points with different campuses, with the campus in Wiley and Farmersville, Salina, and also the tech campus in Allen. But one of the most unknown facilities that gets incredible reviews and is nationally and internationally known and utilized is right here in McKinney. We've built in 2018 with land that the city of McKinney gave us on a long-term lease, a public safety training center. And it was designed, and the city of Allen came over $4.4 million on this $44 million facility and wanted to be part of it as well for their police department. But it's a police and fire training facility that's second to none. And one of the features that it has is a 100-yard range, indoor range. We've had too many federal agencies to count, and without getting into gory details, there have been some mass shootings that have been avoided because the persons that trained at that range were able to stop the situation. And that happened right in Allen not too long ago. So that's a little bit of an undersold circumstance that people don't fully realize it's there. By the way, if you ever want to tour that facility, it'll be one of the better tours of any facility that Collin has. It's just an amazing facility. But in terms of the future, we've been working with our hospitals throughout the region, 16 different hospitals, CEOs and their staffs. We just launched an operational management bachelor's degree that's very, very popular. Our board has given us some forward marching orders for a software development degree, which will be our 5th degree. And we're going to have to go back to the legislature and ask for some help to do more. So those of you that are in the legislature, thank you already. But the big thing for us right now is we're doing a remodel on our Plano campus, about a $70 million remodel that's been operating full capacity for all these years. And folks, the restrooms haven't been updated in years, but we're going to be focusing there on continuing education as well as some more health offerings. And we do have in Frisco another health facility going up on that campus. Here in McKinney, we're, I think, meeting tomorrow, Paul, talking about an aviation college at the airport. So just a ton of things happening. We've got great partnerships across the board, and we're just thrilled to be in a place that's growing at the speed and with the consideration and care that Collin County is. So it's a great time to be here.
Absolutely. And I can attest, I've been on a tour of the Public Safety Training Center. It's a really interesting tour.
Was it amazing?
It was wonderful.
Did I oversell it?
Oh, no, I think you hit it right on the nail, right on the head.
Do you think it's better than the rooftop thing I'm talking about?
I'll leave my opinion out of that one, but I'd love to see it come to life. Since you mentioned it, the college does currently have 4 bachelor's programs, looking at that 5th. Tell us a little bit about the demand for those programs and how that's driving the demand for this 5th program.
Well, what we've tried to do is really focus on needs in the community that where we have infrastructure already. Our first was a nursing bachelor's degree, and we got approval for that in 2017 through the legislature, and we're very grateful to them for that and to the governor for signing it into law. There's a little bit of misconception. Some of our university partners routinely think we're stealing students from them, and the reality is we've looked at the demographics. We've got students who are here. They're parents of children that are going to McKinney ISD. They're not going to a university that's somewhere else. And so for them to advance, they want to take the degree locally, and they want to do something they couldn't do in terms of being a residential student somewhere else. So the Bachelor's of Science in Nursing was an amazing addition. We followed that up with cybersecurity, and the BSN is headquartered in McKinney. The cybersecurity degree is headquartered in Frisco, and it has about 1,000 students in the pipeline in just 3 or 4 years of operation, so it's kind of amazing. The third is construction management, and I should probably mention that too because you guys don't know this. On the McKinney campus, there's this green metal building. We affectionately call it the Goat Barn. Well, we're moving, the construction management program has grown so fast and so furious that we're adding additional facilities on the McKinney campus inside that structure. Dr. Collins, I don't think made it today, but he absolutely abhors that building. Can't we do something with the Goat Barn? Our founding trustee. So we're going to reskin it and make it look like it's a brand new building for a very low amount of money. But a construction management bachelor's degree is going to come to McKinney. And that degree, everybody that goes through it, they're hired before they graduate, and the salaries are 6 figures. So they do very well. I mentioned the 4th degree, the operational management. The 5th is going to be in software development. Obviously a big need with artificial intelligence. And Siri hasn't improved at all, so anything we can do to help her. And then the biggest needs that we see in the future in talking to our current advisory groups, banking, insurance, some of those needs there. And we've got a major education issue, getting teachers trained. I can't stop, and I don't want to go on longer than my time or you won't ever come back to me, but we've also got something called the Academic Alliance. And we kicked off on February 14th, the Texas A&M Engineering Academy. And we started with 97 students this fall. It's the 10th academy like this in the state. We didn't have a place to put it. And we were looking to put it at our Collin Higher Education Center, but we couldn't figure out a way to expand that center to do that. So as a result, we started with 97 students just this fall. And folks, students could come to that. They're accepted to A&M College Station. They're Aggies on day one. Thank you. I like to pause so I don't interrupt you. They're Aggies on day one. They're Collin Cougars on day one, and when they finish, they can go to College Station. They don't have to apply and choose from one of 23 different engineering fields. Folks, it saves $40,000 in doing that. Well, the Academic Alliance has expanded, and we've got agreements with Texas State for more engineering programs, and also with UT Dallas for some programs with them. And it's going to expand again very, very soon in concert with our superintendents and ISDs in a way that's going to make them smile ear to ear. So we've got some exciting things coming. Harrison Keller is now the president of University of North Texas. We're engaged in routine conversations about partnerships there. I think it's going to be a great time to be in Collin County.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Mackin. Mayor Fuller, since Dr. Mackin mentioned the airport, there's been some grant investments for planning on the east side of the airport. Can you tell us a little bit about what is planned for out there and what the community can expect to be as the future of that airport?
Seriously? So we're making a large investment right now in the airport on infrastructure on the east side. Our airport is tremendously successful, and a lot of people don't understand. I think probably everyone in this room understands, but the general public doesn't understand the economic engine that the airport is, doesn't understand the asset that it is that attracts and keeps companies like Raytheon expanding in our community, and Encore Wire, and the attraction just for some of the corporate relocates that are here specifically for what that airport offers for their business. And then it's an economic output of about over $300 million a year, right? Creating, of course, tremendous jobs and whatnot. It pays over $3.5 million in property and school taxes that subsidize the residential tax burden that we have in this community. So there's so many benefits to that airport that, again, this room I think probably most understand it. But a lot of people don't, right? They view it as an airport. That's rich people got their planes over there, and there's no use to me. They don't understand the benefit that it is to this entire community. But that infrastructure that we're doing on the east side sets us up for development, both in general aviation and in commercial passenger service. It'll accommodate either. Our need right now, we are literally about built out on the west side of the airport, all that we can do. And we have companies that are coming to us on a regular basis. We have a big hangar demand, and unless we start to develop that east side, we're not going to be able to accommodate anything, whether that be general aviation expansion, companies that are coming, looking to our airport as a site, as Cirrus did. We need to be prepared, and that's what we're doing now.
Absolutely. On a similar topic of some infrastructure and projects underway, City Manager Grimes, there are some regional and local transportation projects, something like the Spur 399 extension, the 380 bypass come to mind. Tell us what these projects plan to bring, both in terms of level of service and local transportation infrastructure.
Yeah, so in the near term, they're going to bring some headaches, I suppose, because road construction is somewhat disruptive. But Spur 399 is the extension. Basically, it's ultimately going to loop around the airport. It'll loop up Highway 5, kind of go south of the airport and around to the east side of the airport, which was a really big deal. Originally, TxDOT was looking on the west side alignment along Airport Road. We worked with them to move that alignment to the east side of the airport. That was strategically important for McKinney to be able to get that alignment to the east side of the airport. And then it'll go around and connect to US 380 bypass, which we all know is desperately needed. What's interesting is in the early 80s, US 380 was widened from a 2-lane roadway to a multi-lane roadway. And that was a huge milestone in McKinney's development when US 380 was widened in the early 1980s. As you all know, it's outgrown its capacity. It's not the most pleasant road to drive on. And so TxDOT knows they need to have another limited access roadway, i.e. freeway, east-west. And so US 380 will go up and around and create this big loop and connect with 399. Spur 399, the first phase of it is expected to be let. That's a TxDOT term. That means basically bid out and awarded. They were originally looking at, I think by the end of this calendar year, it's probably going to be first quarter of 25, but they're going to get started soon on Spur 399 extension. So there will be construction, and we're going to have to deal with that. But that's a good thing. That construction is necessary for the progress that we need in the community and our transportation infrastructure. 380 bypass is probably 3 years off. They've got to finish their environmental study and the environmental impact analysis. But when that's done, they're acquiring land now. I know that there are some businesses on the north side of University, just east of Custer, that are already bought by TxDOT, and those are new buildings. The sad thing is they're not long for this earth, because they're going to be removed, and that bypass, the freeway, is going to go there and east of Tucker Hill, then curve up to the north and go around. But that road will probably you'll start see construction, probably I would guess it's 3 to 4 years off from now, at the earliest. It seems like a long time, but I can assure you that time will fly by really fast. But we desperately need that roadway infrastructure. The community needs it. It's a great thing for McKinney. There was some heartburn and some teeth gnashing, certainly on the alignment. That's been resolved. We're moving forward, and that's a great milestone for McKinney to get that bypass in place.
Yeah, I just want to add to that on that bypass. I think one of the things that we were able to accomplish, and it impacts everyone in this room, is when the state highway is built, the city has a 10% requirement that we have to match in funds. We have all of the utility relocations that we have to do outside of the right of way and whatnot. And we were able to secure it through negotiations and some deal making with our county and state partners to acquire over $220-ish million that otherwise we would have been bonding for. And everyone who lives in McKinney here would have been paying those bonds and taxes over the next 20 years. But we were able to do that, and that's a huge win for the city.
Absolutely. City Manager Grimes, if I could ask on one more project. I already talked about the Lower 5 Plaza, but that is incorporated into the reconstruction of State Highway 5. So tell us a little bit about that and what that's going to bring to East McKinney.
Well, again, so TxDOT is partnering with us. They're going to actually build the bridge. The subgrade park will be integrated, but that will be the city's responsibility. They're going to help us with that, with funding. But we will build the park when that bridge is built. We're several years off from that, but that is the vision. Like I said, that is going to be a transformational type of project. $37 million funding from state, federal governments to be able to help us offset some of those costs. And we're excited about it. I think it's going to be Highway 5 will be transformed. We think of Highway 5 today as it goes through. That's an old roadway design. They really don't design roads like that anymore. That roadway design will look very, very different when that road's finished. It'll be much more pedestrian friendly. You'll be able to continue to cross at the surface level, and it'll be much nicer than it is today. But when you, with the park feature, the subgrade park feature integrated, that will be transformational.
Absolutely. Thank you, City Manager Grimes. Superintendent Pratt, let's talk about some investments McKinney ISD has made, specifically in safety and security. I know the district has made some strides, both in investing in personnel and some facility upgrades. What should district parents know about those investments?
Sure. So, everybody knows that for teachers to teach and students to learn, you've got to have a safe environment, right? And that's where it starts. And I want to commend our board. Our board has been committed to helping us make our schools safer. We've made a number of investments. We did hire a director of safety and security, and we strategically made that hire outside of education and brought in Rusty May, who's a former 25-year McKinney PD. We wanted a different lens at safety and security, right? Somebody outside of education to help us balance the way we look at safety and security, and that's helped us tremendously. We also, a number of things, we've added a Verkada system at our 3 high schools, and we intend, as funding allows, to run that through all of our high schools. But it's some people call it a camera system, but it's much, much more than that. It's tied into every door contact, every badging station, and it allows, it's got the AI technology with the cameras, but for instance, if a door is open longer than 30 seconds, it sends the administrators in that building a notification on their phone saying, hey, door, if I'm at McKinney High, door 45 has been open for 30 seconds. So they can go directly there and check and find out why and get that door closed. It also allows our McKinney PD to be able to see inside our schools, to use those cameras from their command center. So if there is an incident, the old plan was they met us at our command center. We got a radio and we're talking back and forth while they're sitting in our room. They now can take over, be able to view and inform their officers of what they need to be informed of. So that's a great system that is helping us a lot. We also installed the Evolve system in the high schools, an AI technology, a weapon detection system that our students go through every morning and every visitor to the campus goes through. Is it 100% foolproof? No, nothing is, right? But it is another big deterrent. All you got to do, we all know the incidents that have happened around our country and our state, and we wanted to be proactive in that and try to make the system safer. So you can harden the campuses all you want, right? But without a diligent, well-trained staff and student body, it really doesn't matter. And so we continue to train. We continue to train not just teachers, but students also on all of our practices in safety and security. And I mean, I can sit here today, it's not foolproof and it never will be, but I can tell you, I've been here 32 years in this school district, and our schools are safer right now than they've ever been, and that's a credit to our school board supporting us through that. So.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Superintendent Pratt. Dr. Neil Matkin, we'll go back to you. Can you tell us a little bit about how the local workforce is driving what programs are offered at Collin College and what partnerships have been made to help support those students getting into that workforce?
That's a great question. We've watched across the nation several companies go to remote learning or remote teaching or remote work. I guess I knew I'd get it. Remote work. And I've got a son in software development who was fully home for 2 years, long after COVID stopped. And like many companies, those companies eventually called the workers back because they had some challenges. And nobody talks about the challenges of those at-home situations, but one of the biggest challenges are feelings of isolation and loneliness and that lack of the social contact in an office setting. Everybody likes the convenience. I don't have to commute. I don't have to get dressed. I'm in my gym shorts and T-shirt. During COVID, the big change I noticed for me personally working from home was that I was sitting at my computer one Sunday morning, and I was in gym shorts and a T-shirt in my upstairs office, and the phone rings. And it's a lady that reports directly to me and going on and covering several subjects. And finally I said, you do know it's Sunday, right? And we all lost complete track of the days. But to answer your question, we've got an online college that we launched a year before it was ready because COVID came upon us, and so we accelerated the launch. And it now is our largest campus, I think, with almost 17,000 students, so right at 17,000 students. And the challenges are immense. You have the challenges of trying to figure out how do you ensure that there's integrity and there's not cheating. And there are products that do okay at that, but they're somewhat intrusive at times. And so we're looking at all those different things going on in the learning environment, and we're asking hard questions. How do we deal with this work-at-home movement? And we've lost employees, and excellent employees, who got an offer to work at home for another company. And so we're looking at all that, trying to figure out how to best thread that needle. We want to have a presence, and part of being a college or a university anywhere is having that camaraderie on the campus, that academic exchange. For years, we've sat faculty offices, historians next to engineering faculty, next to mathematics, next to English. We don't put all the math folks over here because crazy things happen when you do that. We try to intermix the faculty so they have an appreciation of what other folks do. And so all that thinking and looking at those different dynamics, it kind of addresses and brings us to think about how do we best roll out those mobile offerings. And so far, Collin has been a huge experiment. We brought in a gentleman from the University of Illinois. He's got to be almost 80 years old, but Mr. Ray Schroeder, and I won't give you his biography because of time, but he developed an online learning situation that had incredible results. And it was developed at the University of Illinois Springfield, a little small 5,000 student part of the University of Illinois system, and it eventually took over and became the learning system for all of their major campuses, including Urbana-Champaign. So out of small programs, sometimes some great things come. We flew him here, and we asked him to help us develop that online environment, and our goal wasn't anything other than trying to figure out how do we make students successful? How do we make an online student feel successful and connected to the college in a way that they don't feel like they're isolated? And so all those things, I've sort of darted around the question, but it's not an answer that we have in our hip pocket. And we're kind of feeling our way as we go forward and watching what other companies are doing and other colleges are doing and trying to figure out what works best for our community.
Absolutely. Thank you. Your comment about bringing together minds in a all-in-one space made me think a little bit about the new City Hall. Mr. Mayor or City Manager Grimes, tell us a little bit about the City Hall and how that is going to bring together city staff and how that may benefit residents of McKinney.
I'll start from the perspective of staff and then the mayor can certainly add from the perspective of the impact on the community. It's been a long process for sure, and a lot of thought has gone into it. Again, the leadership of Mayor Fuller and the City Council have allowed it to come to fruition. For us, it's about, there's two levels to this. Number one, our organizational culture is all built on collaboration, and we wanted to have a city hall that actually physically, spatially represents our workplace culture, and that is creating spaces. It's going to feel more like, when you walk through it and you get a chance to see it, it's going to feel more like a private sector firm that you might see Toyota or something else. We walked through, we were intentional about visiting a number of places to come up with some collaborative space designs. We want spontaneous collisions among our employees. We want our IT folks, who are notorious for they're in a black box, and we don't know what happens behind that black box, but we have a genius bar, and we have space located right outside of the IT department because we want our IT employees collaborating with our regular staff on ideas on, hey, I got this idea. Can you guys make that happen? Those are the kind of conversations we want to have happen. And so from an organizational standpoint, we think it finally reflects sort of what our organizational culture is. From a community standpoint, it's about making places, right? It's placemaking. We talk a lot about infrastructure, and it sounds transactional, but we don't lose sight of, and our planning folks know this very well, and our executive team, we don't lose sight of the fact that our priority is connecting the community, right? We're building social capital in a community. Social capital is what holds communities together. We want to create spaces and places that create those connections, those bonds. City Hall is going to go a long way to creating that kind of a connection in a whole new part of town, and that's what we're very excited about, and I think the mayor could probably take it from there.
Well, first I'll say that he mentioned the Genius Bar, but I was already noticed that I won't be allowed there, and I don't understand that. It's great right now too. The city, the offices are spread out about 7 miles across this community. Makes it hard for those collisions to happen when you're 7 miles apart, other than on the road, of course. But bringing everyone together that way is great. We were also very intentional about, our council was, on putting City Hall where it is, on the east side of Highway 5, where it could be a catalyst project. We realized that we had the ability to do something to catalyze and jumpstart growth, positive growth on the east side. And we've seen that, of course, compounded with the Tufts campus. There's 56 acres that have now been purchased and assembled, and a large developer is working with that owner and working with the city on how that will be developed. So exciting stuff, but it all started really with City Hall and the decision to build it there, and planting a flag in the ground that we're making an investment on the east side.
Absolutely. And I frequent city council meetings, so I am excited to see the new council chambers. But looking forward to the tour of that facility once it's got the doors open.
If I could just add, just so folks here know, City Hall, we're moving in. Staff is moving in January. Our January city council meetings will be in the old City Hall. We are hoping and we're planning to have our new city council, or I should say our future city council meetings in the new City Hall starting in February. We just want to make sure the equipment works properly. If we get a chance to run it a few times before we make that transition. But just so folks know, City Hall, it's imminent. It's going to happen really soon. So we're very excited about it.
Absolutely. I'll put it on my calendar. Speaking of city staff, this year your city staff has been recognized a couple of times in a top place to work by USA Today and a top workplace by the Dallas Morning News. Tell me a little bit about what those recognitions mean to you.
So it means a lot to me, and it means a lot to our staff. When I hired 8+ years ago, City Council said, "Listen, we need to change the culture in the organization." And I remember having a meeting with some executive staff members, and I asked, "What's our culture?" And they said, "We don't have one." And I remember vividly that conversation, and that we have to change that. You can't accomplish great things without having a unified culture, and so we've been very, very intentional about that. Over the last 8 years. And we've got some terrifically dedicated folks, our employees, the folks that are here. They have worked incredibly hard. They had to listen to my drivel probably for too long or too many times in preaching about it. Joe Mazzola's here. He's our organizational development director. He's been an absolute superstar. We couldn't have done what we do without him. And they have to hear us, but they bought into the message. And they recognize that, a unified culture is the difference maker in any organization. If you don't have a unified culture, you're not going to be as successful as you can be. So it's a validation of all the hard work that's been done. We're never done. We're never finished. It's never a linear type of progress. It's sometimes goes in waves, but we've made tremendous progress. And what the community, for the business community that's here and for the residents that are here, what does that mean to you when you talk about, well, who cares about city culture? Well, it's customer service. It's having, you're delighting your customers much more when you can respond to them more readily with better solutions. That's a big deal. Working with our business community, or working with our peer communities, other school districts, or the water district, having better relations and a better approach, that's a big deal. And for folks who are investing, they want to have a community that is well managed, perceived or recognized as being sort of best in class. That's an economic development tool right there. Because if you have to plant your money somewhere, you're sure as heck going to be more inclined to do it somewhere where it's recognized as a transparent, best in class organization than one that's not.
Absolutely. We are coming to the end of our program here, and I could ask about 1 million more questions, but I'll just give you one, and we'll go down the line and see what your answers are. And I'll start with City Manager Grimes. Tell me, what is the biggest opportunity for McKinney right now?
There are so many. I think we have the opportunity as a community with the talent we have in this community. I think we have a great opportunity to multiply our innovation environment. Everything is, all the ingredients are there. We are blessed to be in the northern tip of the Texas Triangle, which is arguably one of the hottest economic geographic regions. The Texas Triangle, that's Dallas, Fort Worth, including McKinney, down through Austin to San Antonio, then over to Houston. That Texas Triangle is probably the most dynamic economic region. I would challenge people, I would say, on earth. And I'm not really one for hyperbole, but I would challenge somebody to name another place that is more dynamic. So we're very lucky there. But one area that we've never been particularly strong at, because it wasn't required of us, we were an agricultural community, is innovation and tech. I think the work that our EDC is doing with Plug and Play and our innovation fund, in fact, we have staff right now at Smart Cities, the International Smart Cities Conference, meeting with these folks. That I think is the opportunity to build capacity in our community for economic development, right? It's about building capacities for the future workforce. And that, for me, is the most exciting thing.
Absolutely. Same question to you, Mr. Mayor. What do you think is one of the biggest opportunities that McKinney has?
Well, I can't follow that. That was a great answer. We're going to continue to grow, and we are blessed. And I think, again, many people in this room know, but not everybody knows how blessed we are to have the staff that we have. Quite frankly, Paul Grimes and all of staff, not just on an administrative level, but on a vision level and a caring level and a passion level for this community. So our opportunity, of course, lies greatly in the 45 square miles that have yet been incorporated. There's some challenges with that too. If you'd ask me what's the biggest challenge, I would tell you it's the flip side of the coin I just stated, with our state legislative body taking away some of the ability, or all the ability really, to strategically annex. So we're going to have challenges in doing that, but that 45 square miles is just 45 miles of opportunity. We have some infill opportunity, of course, as well. Our airport continues to be a tremendous opportunity as an economic generator for the region. But I think there's nothing but a bright future. And if this is my last comment, I need to add something just about these guys over here. Paul talked about culture being an economic generator, and it certainly is important for a great city culture. But our school district, MISD, and we've got the six fantastic school board trustees that are here today as well, working with them and having that school district in this community. Talk about an economic driver that brings companies, attracts companies to be here because of the quality of education that we have. Collin College, I mean, there's no better. And the partnerships that we have with Collin College and MISD, both for some of the programs you heard about today, and one very exciting one is what Neil mentioned on the aviation side, new program that's coming. These guys are innovators, both school district and Collin College, and great community partners. So for me, the opportunity is so tied to these two entities as much as it is anything else.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Superintendent Pratt, same question to you. What do you think is one of the biggest opportunities for McKinney ISD?
Sure, and before I answer that, I'll just say, Mayor Fuller said some great things about the school district and Collin College, but he is a recruiting and retention tool for McKinney ISD. He has stepped up so many times for our school district. Yeah. And I mean, that's real. There's superintendents around us that have said to me many times, man, I wish we had a mayor like yours that supported our school district the way yours does. So that's real. But I think opportunities, first for our students, lots of great things happening. Last year at this time, I talked about our strategic plan and the 200 teachers, staff, students, and community members that came in and helped us forge the path. What are we going to do the next 3 to 5 years? It's 6 pillars and a ton of initiatives out of each of those pillars that we're working on hard every day. One great example, and its partnership with Collin College and our CTE program. We've done an audit of that. We're revamping it. We're reorganizing our pathways, trying to make sure that there's, for all students, whether they know they're going to college or not going to college, that they have a pathway where they're either hireable straight out of high school or they have improved their odds at getting into the school they want, depending on the path that they want. So those are great. And then I think just for our community, I think there's opportunities for engagement. I mentioned 200 community members for strategic plan, with 60 community members for our long-range facilities planning committee. And we have a ton of other committees that we ask teachers and students and community members to be part of. And we truly are trying to have that initiative to open up more, bring it. Our school district is our community school district. It's not ours. And we want to make sure that we've got community engagement and people coming and giving us their time and talent to help make sure that we're heading where our community wants us to head.
Definitely. Thank you, Superintendent Pratt. And last but not least, Dr. Matkin, what is some of the opportunities that Collin College has?
You know, I'm going to take a different tact on the question because we live in an age, and we're just going through a national election. I don't care which side you voted for. It came out the way it came out. Some are celebrating. I go to my office, and some are doing the happy dance, and some are doing the less than happy dance. But here's the thing. Higher education has gotten a bad rap. Well, let me rephrase. Higher education has gotten the exact rap that we've earned. Because across this nation, we've allowed activism and other things to come into our campuses where we've taken sides. And one of the biggest opportunities, I think, is already happening. We've got an amazing faculty. And I've tried to help them understand that Switzerland and Collin College are almost identical, minus the Alps. We don't want to take little lefties that come to our college and turn them into little righties. And we don't want to take little righties that come to our college, take them little lefties. That's not our job. Our job is to always be professional, teach both sides of any issue that we have. And it's just like the Walter Cronkite era of news. You know what? Nobody knew what party that man was affiliated with. So we've worked hard at Collin, and to me, this is a huge opportunity to make sure that our faculty, our staff, and our administration are following a professional path of not getting engaged in national activism and other things. It's not that we don't have an opinion, but when we do that, and universities allow that to happen, or colleges and institutions allow it to happen, they lose track of their only goal. The only goal is to help students reach their goals. And so, I can't explain how passionately I feel about this, and I'll end up in a multi-hour conversation that none of you will appreciate. But I'm so proud, and the opportunity that's just been presented to me is our elected faculty council. It represents all of our full-time faculty and our associate faculty or part-time faculty, just passed a resolution insisting on that level of professionalism. And I think the opportunity before us is not to be the best kept secret, but let folks know at Collin College, you can be gay or straight, you can be Jew or Muslim, and we're going to welcome everybody and try our best to help them reach their goals. That's the biggest opportunity before us.
All right. Well, thank you. Big round of applause for our panel today. And Shelby. I know we ran over a little bit. There's just so much, and like you said, so many more questions to ask because there's so many things happening in our community, but all very good. Thank you for coming here today. I do want to give another big shout out to our presenting sponsor, Frontier Waste Solutions, the garbage guys. Thank you. Also, a big thank you to McKinney ISD, the City of McKinney, and Collin College for their impact on our program today. Don't forget to wish the mayor a happy birthday, affirmations, and have a great day.